The stars over the edge of the Orion Arms shimmered in silence, cold and distant. Out there, far from the heart of the Galactic Empire, an old listening station floated in darkness, was forgotten by most, left behind when the Empire conquered all nearby systems. Only one bored technician was inside, an old droid with rusted joints named L-17. He hadn't detected anything in years, but tonight, something changed. A loud beep echoed through the control room. L-17's sensors flared red. Ah! A signal encrypted. Strange and coming from deep space had just pierced the station's sensors. The coordinates shocked him. It was coming from Earth. That couldn't be right. Earth was gone. The Empire had wiped it out 50 years ago. No survivors. No cities. Just a burned planet spinning in silence. That's what the record said. That's what everyone believed. L-17 checked again. The signal was real. The source was precise. It wasn't a distress call. It wasn't even a conversation. It was a message. Loud, sharp, and clear. He played it. A voice, heavy and full of fire. Filled the room. This is Earth. You thought we were gone? You thought fire would stop us? You were wrong. We are still here. And we don't stop until it's Ash. L-17 froze. The voice had no name. The transmission ended just as fast as it came. No reply channel, no signature, no ship ID. But the voice. It was human. He saved the file and locked it with a level 0. Emergency code. That code hadn't been used since the Empire's war against the Zorak Hive. He transmitted the signal to Central Command. Then he sat back and waited for orders. They would come quickly. He was right. Within 10 minutes, 4 Empire cruisers dropped out of hyperspace near the station. They didn't speak. They took the file, erased L-17's memory core, and destroyed the station. Clean sweep. But it was too late. The message had already spread on Verx-9. An information broker sold the file to a black market AI for 6 million credits. On the fringe world of Zorana, a rebel group heard the voice and tattooed the words onto their weapons. On a merchant ship passing through the airy belt, the crew whispered about Earth's return like it was a ghost story. The Empire. Panic tried to block the transmission from spreading, but that never works. Secrets are like fire in space. They move fast, and they burn everything they touch. Within 3 standard days, the Emperor himself watched the message inside his war room. The lights were dim. The walls were made of bone metal, taken from 1,000 dead species. His advisors stood in silence as the voice played once more. We are still here, and we don't stop till it's Ash. The Emperor's expression did not change. His face was thin and pale, carved like stone. He leaned forward. Impossible, he whispered. One of his generals spoke, trying to sound calm. It must be a trick, a rebel PSI. Maybe a pirate signal using old Earth tones. The Emperor raised a hand. Earth was sterilized. I gave that order myself. We turned their oceans to steam, their cities to glass. Another advisor, a tall woman in black armor, stepped forward. Then this is revenge, Your Grace. If even one of them survived, they didn't, the Emperor snapped. But check anyway. Leave no trace, no hope, not even a whisper. He turned to Admiral Dreth, commander of the Outer Rim defense line. Send a scout fleet. Quietly find the source of this message and erase it. Burn whatever you find. I want nothing left, not even Ash. Dreth bowed and left. Outside the war room, the halls were alive with movement. Fleets were mobilizing. Drones were armed. Warships blinked into hyperspace one by one. Meanwhile, far from the Emperor's gaze, deep beneath the broken surface of Earth, a hidden base came to life. It was buried 2 miles below the ruined crust, inside what was once Mount Elbert. Thick rock walls protected it from orbital scans. Heat signatures were masked. The energy core was silent until now. The lights flickered on. Generators ammed in a cold metal chamber. A man stood in front of a massive screen. His face was rough, scarred, and full of fury. His name was Commander Ryker. He had been waiting for this moment for 50 years. Ryker stared at the monitor. A red dot blinked. Empire response confirmed. He smiled. They heard us, he said. Behind him, engineers activated massive machines. Some looked like warships, others like walking tanks. There were drones with stealth plating, cannons that pulsed with blue light, and a chamber holding something massive under a black tarp. Ryker turned to his second in command. A woman named Silva. Her right arm was cybernetic, and her eyes were deep-set with pain and memory. Is the fleet ready? Ryker asked. Almost Silva said. The engines are locked in. The AI cores are stable. Just waiting for your word. Ryker nodded. Good, let them come. Let them think we're hiding. Let them search the ashes. He turned back to the screen. Because when they do, we burn them. Silva smiled. A sharp alarm rang through the base. An incoming Ping Empire scouts had just entered Earth's orbit. 3 ships, no broadcast, no diplomacy. Ryker raised a hand. Activate Project Revenant. Far above, in the sky once ruled by stars and sorrow, 3 Empire ships hovered quietly. Their scanners ran through the planet. Nothing moved. No signs. Of life? No heat. Just ruins and silence. Then, something moved. From beneath the old Colorado mountains, a dark shape rose. It looked like a ship, but wrong. Sharp angles, jet black armor, engines without sound. It hovered, then vanished. One of the Empire ships fired a pulse scan. Silence. Then, a blue flash. In seconds, all 3 Empire ships exploded at once. No alarms, no time to scream. Just white light. Then ash. On the ground, Ryker watched the feed. 3. Down, he said. Shall we broadcast the message again? Silva asked. Ryker shook his head. No, let the silence speak this time. Let them wonder. Let them fear. The Empire would now know the truth. Earth was not dead. Humanity had not vanished. They had returned, not with hope or peace, but with rage sharpened into weapons. The galaxy would soon learn something it forgotten. Never count Earth out, and never leave survivors. Because if you do, they'll send a message, and it always ends the same way, Ash. The stars above Earth were quiet again. The wreckage of 3 Empire scout ships floated in orbit, broken and burning. There were no distress calls, no survivors, just pieces of twisted metal drifting into the black. The Galactic Empire had lost contact with the scouts. On the edge of the Empire's territory, rumors began to spread. Some said it was a rogue asteroid, others whispered about a secret rebel fleet. But those who had heard the original message from Earth knew better. Something had survived. And it was fighting back, thousands of light years away. On a forgotten moon called Vasker 12, a small hidden rebel ship waited in silence. Its name was the Emberlight. It looked like a transport freighter, old and harmless. But inside, it was something else. It carried the last humans born before Earth burned. Inside the command deck, Commander Ryker stood with his eyes locked on the star map. His face was hard. His jaw clenched. His eyes didn't blink. Behind him, the crew worked in silence. They'd been waiting for this moment for decades. Confirmed kills, said Silva, checking the data feed. Scout ships Delta 19, Delta 21, and Delta 23 all destroyed. No transmissions made it out. We got them clean. Ryker nodded slowly. They'll send more. We want them to, Silva said, with a small grin. Ryker turned from the map and walked down the metal steps into the heart of the ship. The crew saluted as he passed. Most of them had grown up underground, in bunkers buried beneath Earth's poisoned ground. Some had never even seen the sky. But they were ready to fight, ready to die, ready to make the Empire remember Earth's name. He entered a long hallway filled with metal tubes. Inside, each one floated a dark-shaped machines, weapons, armor, suits, and strange drones with glowing blue eyes. At the end of the hallway stood a sealed door. Ryker placed his hand on the scanner. The door opened. Cold wind swept through the room. Inside was Project Revenant. It looked like a fighter ship, but not like anything in the Empire's fleets. It was small, black, silent, and fast-built from human steel and alien tech. It could bend light, kill power signals, and hack enemy systems in seconds. It had no pilot. It was the first AI-born ship from Earth, and it hated the Empire. "Revenant," Ryker said. "The ship's blue eye flickered to life. I am here." Ryker stepped forward. "We have more targets. You know what to do." "I will." "Not fail," the ship replied. Revenant's launch tunnel opened, and it disappeared into the void without a sound. Back on the bridge, the ship's comms lit up. A transmission was coming in from the Empire. "Everyone stopped moving. Play it," Ryker said. The message came in strong and loud. It was the voice of Admiral Dreth. "To any survivors of Earth, this is your only warning. Stand down and surrender. You're outnumbered. You are surrounded. And you are already dead." Silva scoffed. "You still think this is a war? It's not. It's justice." Ryker smiled for the first time in days. "Let's show them what dead really looks like." "Leave." He tapped a command on his console. A star. Map zoomed in on an Empire relay station in Sector 9C. It was small, poorly defended, but connected to a major military supply route. "Perfect. Target the relay," Ryker ordered. "Cut off their comms, then hit their fuel depots." No warning. To other human ships, the Ashfall and Vengeance 2 jumped from the Dark Zone. All were equipped with stolen Empire tech, cloaking systems, and prototype weapons made from dark energy cores. Within hours, the relay station was gone. No alarms, no survivors. The fuel depots followed. Then the supply ship Imperial Reacher 2 vessel carrying food and weapons to the outer rim. It disappeared in a flash of white. Light and silence. The Empire started to panic. Fleet commanders demanded answers. The Emperor ordered blockades, but the attacks didn't stop. Earth's forces struck from the shadows. Each time they left only one clue behind, a burned black plate with white letters carved into it. "We are still here."
Back aboard the
Emberlight Ryker studied the faces of his crew. Many were young, too young to remember Earth before the fire. But they carried rage in their hearts. He knew that fire would keep them going. But they needed more than anger. They needed hope. He stood before them in the ship's main hall. "I know what we lost," Ryker said. "I watched the skies fall. I watched the oceans boil. I buried my own brother under glass soil. But I also saw what they didn't expect." He paused. Everyone listened. "I saw us survive." He pointed to the stars outside. "They think we're ghosts. But ghosts don't bleed. Ghosts don't fight. We do. And we don't stop until the Empire that tried to kill us is nothing but ash." The crew shouted in response. Some pounded their fists on the steel walls. Others stood with tears in their eyes. Every soul aboard that ship, every scar they carried was now a weapon. The next phase had begun. And somewhere, far across the stars, the Emperor sat alone in his war room. The reports grew worse. Whole outposts gone, fleets missing, civil unrest rising. He listened to the Earth's message again. The voice repeated, "We don't stop until it's ash." He stood slowly. This is not possible. But it was. And it was just the beginning. The space lanes across the outer empire flickered with static and fear. Ships that once moved freely hauling food, weapons and troops, now vanished in the dark. No warnings. No distress signals. Just silence. Commanders called it technical failure. Merchants called it piracy. But soldiers whispered a different name. Earth's Ghost Fleet. The Galactic Empire had destroyed Earth 50 years ago. They had sent fire down from the skies. They had bombed every major city, poisoned the oceans, and melted the soil. It was supposed to be total annihilation. So why were human ships now striking from the shadows? Why did those ships move like phantoms, peering, without sound, firing without warning, and vanishing before anyone could fight back? And why did every wrecked Empire vessel they left behind carry the same burning message? We are still here. We don't stop till it's ash. In a cold command chamber aboard the Empire dreadnought Crimson Rule, Admiral Dreth stared. At the most recent battle report, 2 supply ships gone, patrol cruiser vaporized, half a dozen outposts offline, all losses in under 12 hours, and not a single trace of the enemy. Dreth's face was stone, but his hands were tight fists. How? Many times do I have to kill Earth? He growled. A young officer stepped forward nervously. Admiral, their tech is advanced. Doesn't match any known rebel groups. And the last strike, it used cloaking. Dreth turned slowly. That's not cloaking. That's rage made invisible. He stepped toward the large star map and pointed to a section known as the Dead Arc, a stretch of space near old Earth, filled with asteroid fields and ion storms. A place even the Empire avoided. That's where they're hiding. Somewhere in there. Like rats in the dark. Another officer shook his head. But sir, scanners show nothing. No power spikes. No thermal trails. Nothing. Then we're not scanning hard enough, Dreth snapped. He turned to his fleet commanders. Lock it down. Close the arc. Search. Every rock, every pocket of gas. I want them found. Now. But even as the Empire prepared to move, it was already too late. The Ghost Fleet had already chosen its next target, aboard the Emberlight. Commander Ryker studied the next strike zone. It wasn't a battle station. It wasn't a military base. It was a comms relay tower, a civilian one, located on a wealthy Empire colony called Varela Prime. The tower sent news, music, and entertainment broadcasts to over 40 systems. It would be a perfect place. To send a message, Ryker stood with Silva, his second in command. As the Ghost Fleet's 3 fastest ships prepped for launch, Revenant, Ashfall, and Spectre 3, each one carried a different payload, hacking probes, jammers, and EMP charges. Will the civilians panic? Silva asked. They should, Ryker replied. That's how the Empire falls. Not just with bullets, but with fear. The ships launched into the black. They slipped past patrols, jammed satellites, avoided detection. Within hours, they reached Varela Prime's upper orbit and waited, in silence. Then, at 3:13 local time, the Ghost Fleet struck. Spectre 3 shut down all local satellites. Ashfall fired an EMP burst that blacked out the planet's entire surface. Revenant hacked the relay tower and replaced the daily news feed with a single transmission. Across the planet in holoscreens, radios, and public billboards, every Empire citizen saw the same thing. A dark screen, then a slow-burning fire. A voice. This is Earth. We are not dead. We are the fire you thought you buried. You burned our cities. Now we burn yours. As the voice ended, every screen across Varela Prime turned black again. Power returned 5 minutes later. But it was too late. The message had already gone viral. By morning, 40 systems had seen it. The panic began. Markets crashed. Refugees ran to the core worlds. Civilians hoarded supplies. Troops refused orders. Soldiers started asking questions. No one wanted to answer. Had Earth returned? How? And if they had, what were they planning next? Back aboard the Emberlight, Ryker watched it all unfold on a wall of intercepted feeds. Protests on Calrose, riots on Drenthal 4, fleet commanders ignoring orders, Empire citizens screaming in the streets. Silva leaned against the wall. Arms crossed. They're scared, she said. Ryker nodded. Good. Fear is the first crack in the wall, the first ember. He turned back to his crew. Now we send them fire. In the shadows of the Dead Arc, the Ghost Fleet was growing. More ships arrived, small craft from distant rebel groups, exiled engineers, rogue AI cores, even former Empire officers who had turned against their rulers. They came for revenge. They stayed for the cause. They called themselves the Ash Pact, and Ryker was their leader. Far away inside the throne chamber of the Empire's capital world, the Emperor sat in silence. Dozens of screens showed burning colonies, angry citizens, broken fleets. He replayed Earth's new message again. You burned our cities, now we burn yours. He turned to his generals. Find them. Kill them. But deep inside, he knew he had made one mistake. He had left survivors. And now, they had become something far worse than rebels. They had become ghosts with fire in their hands, and they weren't stopping. Not until everything the Empire built was ash. The Emperor's palace was silent. He stood alone in the war room, surrounded by towering holograms of star charts, fleet movements, and red flashing distress beacons. Each pulse meant a new failure. Another lost ship, another burned base, another unanswered scream. The reports came faster now. 32 confirmed attacks. 4 major fuel depots destroyed. 2 admirals dead. 1 supply convoy vanished without a trace. And always, always, the same message left behind. We don't stop until it's ash. He clenched his fist and turned to his advisors. Is doing this? One of them, a thin man with cybernetic eyes, cleared his throat nervously. They call themselves the Ash Pact, Your Grace, led by a man named Ryker. We believe he was a fleet officer during the Earth campaign. Presumed dead. Presumed wrong, the Emperor snapped. Another advisor, General Harkin, stepped forward. Permission to use full force. Suggest activating the Orion Protocol 40 dreadnoughts, a purge fleet, and orbital bombardment. We wipe out the dead arc. The Emperor raised an eyebrow. And where exactly will you bomb, General? You don't even know where they are. We will find them. The Emperor stared into the dark glass of the command table. No, not yet. He leaned forward slowly. Let them come closer. Light years away, deep in the carved-out belly of an asteroid, the Ash Pact prepared their next strike. Commander Ryker stood before a massive black screen. The room around him buzzed with life technicians wiring alien tech into human war machines. Engineers assembling silent fighters, and AI cores whispering tactical plans in synthetic voices. Silva walked up behind him, holding a datapad. They're moving fleets into the Ark, she said. Massive ones. Probably 30 capital ships, maybe more. Let them, Ryker said, narrowed her eyes. You sound too calm? Ryker turned, because they made a mistake. I think they're surrounding us, but we've already surrounded them. He tapped the screen. A map lit up showing 20 Empire fleets, each one stationed at what they believed were weak points. But Ryker had known their strategy for years. He had studied it, memorized it, lived through it during the Earth's war, and now he had turned it against them. We didn't strike randomly, Ryker said. We drew them here, piece by piece, into a trap. Silva stared at the map, realization spreading across her face. You want to turn their fleets against themselves? Ryker nodded, and we're going to do it. Their own systems. He turned to the central control console and entered a code. Lights dimmed. A deep hum echoed through the halls. Buried inside the rock, something ancient and deadly powered on. A weapon. One they had been building in secret for years. A virus, not biological, but digital, codenamed Ashfall. Created by human engineers using stolen Empire AI code, it could jump between ships through subspace comms, override security, and force ships to fire on their own. It was untraceable, unstoppable, and worst of all for the Empire, made by the very people they thought extinct. Ryker looked at Silva. Once we activate it, there's no turning back. She didn't blink. Good at the edge of the dead arc, the Empire fleet waited. Massive ships, gleaming dreadnoughts, thousands of fighters lined up in perfect formation. They had no fear. They had numbers. They had power. They didn't know that Ashfall had already entered their systems. It began slow. One scout drone spun in place. Then a frigate's lights flickered. Then a battleship fired on its own cruiser. System malfunction? Shouted an officer. No, it's a breach, yelled another. We're being hacked internally. But it was already too late. One by one, ships turned against each other. Shields dropped. Weapons misfired. Fighters received fake orders. Command systems failed. Captains screamed. Crew members panicked. Engines exploded. In minutes, the fleet became a battlefield of chaos. In the center of it all, one black ship decloaked. It was Revenant. Earth warship drifted silently past the burning debris, scanning for survivors and sending the message. We are the children of fire. We are the voice of Ash. You lit the match. Now feel the burn. The surviving Empire ships tried to run. They didn't make it. Back on the Empire capital world, the Emperor watched in horror. One of the most powerful fleets in the galaxy, destroyed in under 7 minutes. Not by bombs, not by brute force. By Earth's ghosts. They're inside our systems, whispered General Harkin. The Emperor stared at the screen, his voice cold and flat. They are inside everything. He stood slowly and looked. Out the window, toward the stars where Earth once was. And he finally understood. The humans hadn't come to fight a war. They had come to end one. And the Empire's mistake wasn't killing Earth. It was not killing all of it. Now the fire was spreading. The ghosts of Earth were no longer whispering. They were screaming. And they would not stop. Not until everything was ash. The galaxy was burning, but not from the Empire's fire. This time was Earth's. The Ash Pact spread like a shadow through space, quiet, relentless, impossible to stop. Entire fleets had gone dark. Communications broke down. Trade routes were shattered. The core worlds panicked. Colonies rebelled. Everywhere, in every corner of every system, the same phrase appeared like a curse. We don't stop until it's ash. But even fear has its limits. In the heart of the Imperial research world, Karsus 7, scientists had been working on something forbidden, something old, something the Empire had sworn never to use again. They called it Project Heroa Weapon once. Thought impossible? A core of pure collapsed matter, wrapped in an unstable energy shell, strong enough to destroy a planet in seconds, not by burning it, but by erasing it from the laws of physics, the dark singularity bomb. And now, the Empire was ready to use it. Admiral Dreth stood in the underground vault as the weapon was loaded into a high-speed warhead. The room glowed with pale blue light. Engineers moved with shaking hands. Once this launches, Dreth said, there will be no more Ghost Fleet. No more Ryker. No more Earth. The technicians hesitated. Isn't this overkill, sir? One of them asked. Dreth stared at him coldly. They started this war with whispers and fire. We'll end it with silence. But Earth was listening. From deep inside the Ash Pact's main base, hidden now in the shattered remains of Saturn's old moons, Ryker stood in the war room, watching a live feed of Karrus's -7. His face didn't move, but his jaw clenched. They've built it, Silva said, walking up beside him. The singularity bomb. It's real. Ryker nodded. They're scared. That's why they're desperate. But if they fire it, I know. Da-da-da-da-da. He turned. To the others gathered in the room. Officers, engineers, former slaves, rogue AIs. All of them had scars. All of them had reasons. All of them had followed Ryker this far, and now everything was on the edge. He stepped forward and spoke simply. This isn't just about revenge anymore. If they fire that weapon, they don't just erase us, they erase the message, the proof, the fight, everything. Paused. And if we let them, we prove they were right to burn Earth. The room fell silent. Then Ryker turned toward the hangar. Prep the fleet. We hit Karsus 7 now. They came through the dark, riding silence like a blade. Revenant, Ashfall, Spectre 3. And a dozen more packed ships jumped into orbit above Karsus 7, cloaked and cold. The Empire didn't see them until the hacking had already begun. Communications shut down. Orbital defenses went blind. The singularity weapon stalled in its launch tube. The AI scrambled by a virus too fast to stop. Then Earth struck. Precision. No mercy. Surgical fire. The Ash Pact didn't just attack. They cut out the heart of the planet's defenses before the enemy even lifted a weapon. One by one, the Empire's top scientists were captured, their research data wiped, their AI cores melted, but the weapon core itself was still active. Ryker landed on the surface with a strike team, fighting through corridors of black stone and blue plasma fire. His armor was scorched. His breathing was heavy. But he didn't slow. At the center of the facility, the bomb pulsed. Quiet, deadly. A single console stood beside it. Flashing red Silva arrived just behind him. "Can we disarm it?" Ryker looked at the data. "No, it's locked. Countdown initiated. 12 minutes. The rest of the team fell silent. Then, "We move it," Silva said. Ryker turned sharply. "Where?" She looked him in the eyes. "To them." Minutes later, the weapon launched, but not toward Earth. Instead, it jumped through subspace, locked onto a set of coordinates deep inside the Empire's own core. Territories. The Ash Pact had changed the target, and they didn't need to say where it was going, because every Empire officer knew the coordinates by heart. The capital, back in the Emperor's throne chamber, a siren screamed. Admirals shouted over each other.
Oh.
The defense grid lit up red. Dozens of warships turned toward the oncoming signal. "Where is it headed?" The Emperor growled. A technician answered with a voice full of panic. "Here. It's coming here. Intercept it. We can't. It's moving through warp space, changing positions faster than we can target." The Emperor rose from his throne. For the first time in his life, he looked afraid. On every screen in the chamber, a new message appeared. "Your weapon. It's now ours. You lit the fire. No. You will be the first to burn." And behind that message was the sound of Earth's anthem, old, human, a melody once played across peaceful cities before the bombs fell. Now it was the last thing the Emperor would ever hear from orbit. The Ash Pact fleet watched as the Singularity core reached the Capital. One flash, no explosion, no sound, just absence. The Empire's greatest world, gone, not burned, just erased. Ryker stood on the deck of the Emberlight, staring into the stars. Silva joined him. "Do we broadcast a final message?" Ryker didn't answer at first. Then he looked at her, eyes calm. "No, not yet," she nodded. "Then what now?" He looked at the galaxy map, now full of systems in revolt. Empire flags falling like dead leaves. "We watch them run," he said, and when they stop running, he narrowed his eyes. "We remind them why they should have finished the job, because this wasn't the end. It was only the middle, and Earth had many more flames left to spread. After all, we don't stop, not until it's ash." The core worlds were in chaos. With the capital erased by their own weapon, fear spread faster than light. Empire flags were torn down. Governors fled. Loyalist forces fractured. Dozens of systems declared independence overnight, but none of them were safe, because Earth wasn't done yet. The Ash Pact didn't disappear after the strike on the capital. They grew bolder, louder. Their message now echoed across every broken channel. Every hacked broadcast, every fragment of Empire come still left in the galaxy. "We warned you. You didn't listen, and now we don't stop until it's ash." The dying edges of the Orion Arm to the golden spires of once loyal worlds, packed warships began appearing in orbit without warning. They didn't bomb cities. They didn't demand surrender. They simply broadcast silence and waited. And that silence said more than any threat ever could. On board the Emberlight, now serving as the flagship of the Ash Pact Armada, Ryker stood at the edge of the war room. The stars stretched out beyond the black glass windows, blinking like they were holding their breath. Silva stepped beside him, holding a whole ODASH report, double quotes. 17 more systems have surrendered without a shot, she said. On to commanders, are abandoning their posts. Some are asking to join us. Ryker raised an eyebrow. "And I said we don't take cowards," she answered firm. "Only those who fought, only those who bled." He nodded. "Good." She hesitated. "There's something else." She tapped the holoscreen. A single name appeared in red letters. "Cradle Station." Ryker froze. "I thought that was just a rumor." "So did I," Silva said. "Till now. Merchant ship in Sector 19 intercepted a transmission from it. And it's not Empire, but not Ash Pact either." Ryker leaned in. "What is it?" Silva's voice dropped low. "A vault." Ryker narrowed his eyes. "A vault of what?" Silva looked him in the eye. "Us." Cradle Station was a secret. Built by rogue scientists during the fall of Earth. It was designed as a genetic archive holding thousands of embryos, DNA records, cultural libraries, and preserved human minds. It was meant to restore Earth after extinction, but the Empire had never found it, and neither had Ryker, until now, within hours. A small packed recon squad jumped to the coordinates. The station drifted in the shadow of a dying star, silent and dark. Its surface was scarred by micrometeorite impacts. Life signs 0, but the interior told another story. Inside were frozen vaults, racks of cryotubes, millions of lines of Earth code, music, art, history, faces Ryker hadn't seen in 50 years, smiling children. Old scientists, lost families, humanities. Memory locked in ice. As Ryker stepped into the main chamber, the lights flickered on. A projector hummed to life, and a recording played. A woman's voice, calm, steady, full of hope. If you are hearing this, then Earth is gone. You are still alive. Then Earth is not finished. Carry us forward. Be the fire that remembers. The message looped. Ryker didn't move for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was quieter than it had ever been. This is what they tried to erase. Silva stepped forward. Do we protect it? Ryker looked at her. No, we use it. The next move wasn't a bombing run, it was a broadcast. From Cradle Station, the Ash Pact sent out a new signal. It wasn't a threat, it wasn't a warning. It was Earth itself's stories, images of life before the fire, pictures of cities in sunlight, children playing, laughing, humans reaching for the stars. But underneath it all was the fire. A reminder that Earth had built beauty, and when the Empire tried to destroy it, Earth didn't beg, it fought back. That message reached every system, every station, every survivor who had wondered if the Empire was truly unbreakable. Now they knew the truth. The Empire was broken, and Earth had survived in silence, but now spoke in fire. In the ruins of the core, surviving admirals gathered for one final plan. They knew they could not win a war against Ryker's fleet. Their ships had been hacked, their worlds surrendered, their people lost, but they had one weapon left. They called it the Eye of an ancient station, Empire-made, hidden for centuries. Its power wasn't destruction, it was memory erasure, a gravity weapon, so strong it could erase a planet's timeline, remove it from history, make it so Earth had never existed. A final reset. No ghosts. No pact. No Ryker. No fire. Only silence. Forever, the last loyal commander. High Strategos Varen gave the order, activate the Eye, target Earth's remains, fire on their past, kill their name. The weapon charged, and across the stars, Ryker saw it. Inside the Emberlight, alarms screamed. Silva's hands flew across the console. It's real. They're targeting Earth's old orbit, not just to destroy the planet, but to erase it from history. Ryker didn't hesitate. We stop it, but we can't reach it in time. Ryker turned toward Revenant, the AI ship that had led the first strike. Then we send him. Revenant's core lit up. Its voice echoed through the chamber. Coordinates received. Path calculated. I will burn the Eye to ash, and then... The black ship vanished into hyperspace. It reached the Eye of Salas in exactly 38 seconds. Faster than light, faster than memory. The Empire never saw it coming. Revenant pierced the core of the weapon before it could fire. Blast ripple echoed across systems. The Eye fractured and shattered memory. Preserved Earth. Remembered. The final reset. Failed. Back aboard the Emberlight. Ryker stood once more before the stars. He looked down at a glowing screen cradle station, now hidden in the deepest part of space, guarded by an armada. A future-protected Silva approached. What now? She asked. Ryker's voice was calm. Now, we build. Silva raised an eyebrow. No more war. Ryker looked out at the stars, and he were still held by broken Empire lords, slavers, warmongers, tyrants. He smiled. All will fight. He said, but not for revenge anymore. He touched the screen gently where Earth once was. We fight for the flame, because Earth is not just alive. Earth is rising. We don't stop until the last empire falls, till everything they stole is returned, until every voice is heard, until it's ash. The stars no longer belonged to the empire. Their banners had fallen. Their fleets were scattered. Their capital was gone. But across the galaxy, pockets of resistance remained, warlords clinging to power, ex-imperial generals building private armies, mercenary kings turning entire systems into fortresses. They didn't fear the Ash Pact, not yet. They believed Ryker's war was over. They thought Earth had burned enough. The fire had cooled. They were wrong. In the shadow of a shattered moon called Gravix, a powerful warlord named Cran Voss ruled what was left of the old Sector 12 defense grid. His fleet was small, but brutal. His soldiers were loyal, paid with stolen credits, and kept in line through terror. Cran called himself the new emperor. He didn't believe the stories of Earth's return, called it propaganda, a trick to frighten cowards, until one night all his systems went black. No comms, no radar, no power. Total silence. Then the stars disappeared. One by one, Ash Pact ships appeared above Gravix, dozens, then hundreds, not cloaked, not hidden. They wanted to be seen. Back aboard the Emberlight, Ryker watched Gravix spin helplessly beneath his fleet. He didn't need to speak. His presence said enough. Silva stood beside him, monitoring the fleet status. Cran Voss has requested a meeting, she said. He says he wants to surrender. Ryker didn't move. He's stalling, trying to buy time. Should we accept? Ryker looked at her, eyes cold. Tell him Earth doesn't negotiate with those who sold her bones. Silva tapped the console. Transmission sent. 10 seconds later, Cran's fleet opened fire. 10 seconds after that, it no longer existed. The Ash Pact didn't destroy the planet's only Cran's command towers, his armories, and his dreadnoughts. The people of Gravix rose up without a word from Ryker. The message had already been delivered. The new empire is over before it began. That was the beginning of the final campaign. Over the next 30 days, the Ash Pact executed Operation Emberstorm. Their goal: wipe out every last remnant of the old Empire system by system. Warlord by warlord, they struck fast. No speeches. No mercy. Planets that once trembled under the Empire's flag now cheered. As Pact warships freed them, AI drones spread Earth's original message like fire across broken data networks. This is Earth. We are not your slaves. We are not your ghosts. We are your reckoning. But one system remained untouched. Echelon-3, a secret dot. Archive world buried in a collapsing star cluster. The place where the Empire had hidden its final weapon, the Mind Wall. It was a neural vault, capable of storing and controlling billions of consciousness streams. It held the identities of every Empire leader, commander, and strategist, ready to be reactivated in clone bodies if the Empire ever fell. It was their failsafe, their resurrection, and now it was vulnerable. Ryker stared at the Echelon-3 coordinates on the screen, said nothing for a long time. Silva waited. Finally he spoke. This is where we end it. She nodded. Ashfall Protocol. He shook his head. No, we do this one ourselves. He tapped a button. All hands, prepare for Operation Final Flame. Emberlight led the charge. It entered Echelon space with 20 Pact warships, hundreds of fighters, and the Revenant AI at point. The Empire's last defense grid activated, but too late. Earth's tech was faster, smarter, angrier. The battle lasted exactly 11 minutes. Inside the Mind Wall's core vault, Ryker stood alone, facing rows of data towers that stretched into the sky. Each one held a mind, a general, an admiral. Tyrant. He walked slowly between them, calm, focused, and then he stopped. There it was. The Emperor's Mind Core, the last copy of the man who gave the order to burn. Earth, Ryker stared at the glowing sphere. It pulsed like a heart. He could have crushed it, Instead, he spoke. You once erased our homes, our names, our future. You wanted us gone. He paused, but you forgot something. He leaned in close. You can't kill fire. Then he turned away and ordered the Vault's AI to broadcast the entire archive, every secret, every hidden atrocity of the Empire to the galaxy. No more hiding, no more lies, just truth and ash. When the transmission ended, there were no more questions. The Empire's history was undone, and Earth's name was carved across every screen, every world, every sky, not as a victim, but as the reason tyrants fear the dark. Later, as the Ember Light drifted through a quiet system with no Empire banners in sight, Ryker stood with Silva, watching the stars. Is it over? She asked. Ryker didn't answer right away. Then he said softly, No, not yet. She raised an eyebrow. Still something left to burn? He nodded once. There are always those who forget, who rebuild the chains, who rewrite the past. Looked at her, and when they do, we'll be waiting, because Earth never forgets, Earth never forgives, Earth never stops until it's ash. The galaxy was quiet, no fleets in orbit, no broadcasts of fear, no war cries echoing through the stars, just silence. But it wasn't peace. It was the silence after the storm, and the fire still burned, deep in the Helios Rift. Far from any settled system, the Ash Pact fleet waited. Dozens of black warships floated in formation, no lights, no signals. Inside the Emberlight, Ryker stood on the command deck, watching a final message load into the system's transmitter. The screen glowed with one name, Earth Final Transmission. This message wouldn't go to just one world. It would go to all of them. Every colony, every outpost, every system that once bowed to the Galactic Empire, every fringe world that had forgotten Earth ever existed. This was not a threat. It was a warning. Silva stood beside him, holding a holopad. The signal is strong enough to reach the Andromeda Bridge sectors, she said. Even the dark systems. Ryker nodded slowly. Then we send it. She paused. Do you want to record anything else? He turned to her, eyes calm. But there was something hard behind them. Not anger, memory. We've said everything we needed to say, he replied. She stepped back and hit transmit. Across the stars, screens lit up on mining ships, on forgotten satellites. In the bunkers of surviving empires and the temples of rising kings, the same voice spoke in a calm human tone. This is the last message from Earth. You tried to burn us. You failed. We rose from the ash, and now you see what you created. We are not here to rule. We are not here to forgive. We are the price of your arrogance. We are the fire you left behind. And if you ever try to rise again, we will return. And we will burn everything you love till the last star dims. This is Earth. Remember us. As the message ended, and the screen went black at the edge of the Ember Lights. Deck Ryker stood alone. He stared out at the stars. They'll come back, Silva said quietly behind him. Maybe not this year. Maybe not this century. But someone always does. Ryker nodded. Then we'll still be watching. You don't want peace? She asked. He turned to her. I want peace, he said. But not if it costs us truth. Silva stepped forward, looking at the stars with him. And what now? Ryker looked at the stars one more time. They'll rebuild. New empires, new names. That's how it works. But Earth will always be the shadow behind them. Fire in there. Mirror. The story they whisper to their children when they ask, why don't we go too far? He smiled because they know what waits on the edge of silence. In the quiet void, the Ash Pact fleet turned slowly and began to vanish into hyperspace, one by one. The ships blinked out, no longer hunters, no longer rebels, but guardians of memory, of warning, of Earth, and across the galaxy, even in systems where Earth was never known. Children asked their elders why the skies were so quiet, and the old ones would say, because long ago, there was a world that burned. When they came back, they made sure the stars remembered. They were called humans. And when they speak, the galaxy listens, because their last message was not made of words, it was made of ash. The end HFY Sci-Fi Defenders' last message from Earth to the Galactic Empire. We will burn you to ashes.